Dipti is joining us here on set as well for a look through the newspapers. Dipti, you started with this huge political crisis in Germany, aren't you?
That's right, starting with Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, the woman who was tipped to succeed German Chancellor Angela Merkel, has stepped down as head of the party. Powerless, that's what the Rheinische Post says on its front page. Indeed, it really does sum up the whole controversy. She was powerless last week in stopping a vote that saw a member of her party, the CDU party, that's Merkel's party as well, voting alongside with the far right, breaking with party policy. The Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer experiment failed. That's what Der Tagesspiegel says on its front in this article today, rather solemnly saying that her resignation exposes deep divisions within the party. Angela Merkel indeed wanted Karrenbauer to be her successor. So now that the fact that she stepped down is also a failure for the German Chancellor herself. Der Spiegel is wondering if this decision will actually accelerate Merkel's downfall.
Yeah, perhaps that's why, the very reason why, it's really being reflected right across the front pages across Europe.
Well, at least according to the Swiss paper Le Temps, which sees it that way. Indeed, the editors today, Stuart, saying that call it a German crisis with a European dimension, and say the party must really now do some soul searching at a time when the far right is on the rise in Germany. The CDU party needs to regroup to remember to which point it is a stabilizing force in Europe and has been since the end of the Second World War. The editors here saying the party cannot, quote, stumble without it having an impact on Europe, which is why this is very much a European crisis too. L'Opinion, the French right-wing paper, is far more literal in its coverage today. It sees the far-right party in Germany as torpedoing the German right. And in cartoonist Keck's cartoon today, you see the emblematic federal eagle being transformed, or at least its claws being transformed into neo-Nazi symbols.
Yeah, symbolic stuff. Let's go to South Korea for this next story. Not a political story at all. This is paper's very jubilant there. After Bong Joon-Ho's film Parasite made Oscars history. I loved it, actually. I've seen that one.
I have not seen it, but I'm definitely going to get around to
shocking, but good.
Jubilation indeed, but surprise as well. Nobody really expected him his movie to win in the Best Picture category. Certainly he picked up Best International Feature and was a favorite for that, but Best Picture for Parasite at the Oscars on Sunday night, making Oscars history because the film is the only foreign language film to win that category. And some might say it's also a saving grace for the Academy, which has been dogged by lack of diversity claims, not just this year, but in years past. For the Korea Times, it's a, quote, stunning victory and proof of Hollywood's willingness to break down cultural barriers, at least in appearance, one might say. Ilgan, this Korean language daily calls it a monumental achievement. Worth noting, this is actually a sports paper that's dedicated the first 6 pages to not to sports, but to the Oscars triumph. The paper saying the victory not just stamps the existence of Korean cinema in Hollywood, but shows that the film is at the center of development and change. So a lot of accolades. The victory, as I mentioned, was certainly a surprise in the Best Picture category. Bong's victory speech probably deserves an award of its own. He said he would be drinking all night. And as the Korea Jungang Daily reports, he said he'd like to, quote, get a Texas chainsaw, split the Oscar trophy in 5 and share it with all his fellow nominees. How sweet is that?
Oh, very, very nice. Yeah, well deserved, though. Good film. French paper, Le Croix, for this next story, focusing on Iran today and how the country is using foreigners as a means of currency in international negotiations.
Yeah, it's a really pressing matter because there are 2 French nationals who've been in an Iranian jail for 9 months now. Farida Adelka and Roland Marshall. The pair is accused basically of infringing national security. Their release is a subject of difficult negotiations, that's what La Croix says, between Paris and Tehran. This Tuesday, a silent rally in Paris will take place to shed light on the plight of these 2 French citizens. The couple's release could serve as a bargaining chip for Iran in exchange for the release of an Iranian being held in France since earlier this month. It's happened in the past, prisoner swaps, even though French governments in the past have denied that it's actually happened that way. And what really complicates the situation today is that the situation in Iran is difficult. The U.S. has pulled out of that nuclear deal. Iran is ever more isolated from the global community. There's a breakdown in communications. Iran needs all the leverage it can get. Worth noting, it's not just France who's implicated in this. British national Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe has been imprisoned for nearly 4 years in Tehran.
And finally, from Dipti, this is a 75-year-old Egyptian man hoping to become the world's oldest professional footballer. 75, come on.
75, that's right, and set a record in the process. Ezeldin Bahader, he's a father of 4, grandfather of 6.
Right.
He spent his professional life as a civil engineering consultant, but clearly was pining for much more in his life. He started playing football at the age of 6 in the streets of Cairo, the Middle East Monitor tells us, and now at the age of 75, he's been accepted, he was accepted into a 3rd division Egyptian club. He needs to play 2 90-minute matches next month in order to be recognized as the world's oldest professional player. He hired a personal trainer. He's working on his fitness. The Guinness Book of Records is heading to one of those matches to see, to document the feat. So it's proof that it's never too late to chase your dreams, even at the age of 75.
You persuaded me. I hope he does it.
Are you going to change your career now, Stuart?
Were you suggesting I'm getting to 75?
You might be closer to 75 than not, no?
Thank you.